And I was like, I just want to be like that because they have all these boys that like them and they probably have so many friends and they just do all this fun stuff all the time. So if I just look like that, people will accept me more.
And because it's not super open, I don't think the average girl knows how much effort it takes to achieve that. So they're just looking at these perfect people without knowing all the effort that goes into looking like that, and they feel so bad about themselves because they're like, why do I not look like that? Well, if you took hours and hours and a lot of money, you would look like that. You know what I mean? But they don't know that, so they're just this pressure to look perfect and be perfect, and they don't see their full humanity.
This is CIA, Contagious Influencers of America. I'm David Sams.
And I'm Victoria Robinson.
This is the first time we have had to do a two-parter because this thing is so big.
Well, there's so many of them.
We could not fit this into one episode, so we had to split it up. Gosh, you are going to learn about three girls,
Katherine, Emmy, and Dani.
Cimorelli, who are just taking the internet by storm. They are YouTube sensationers.
They are. And remember this is part 2, David. We've got to remind people that they've got to listen to part 1 as well.
Yeah, and we recommend that you listen to them in order and then backwards. This particular episode, we're also going to hear from their mom.
Yes, we are, Lynn.
Lynn, who has a total of 11 kids.
God love her.
The 6 girls and 5 boys. You're going to get some great encouragement here from these girls. And if you have a dream, this is the episode to listen to. Let's just listen in. This is part 2 of our interview with the Cimorelli sisters. This time we have Katherine, Emmy, and Dani.
And we are going to get you in the Christmas spirit. So here you go. Here's a taste. Cimorelli.
Certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel.
Okay, so here we are with our mini-series, part 2.
Yes.
I want to know, just to start off with, how do you three differ from your other 3 sisters who were just in this studio?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, in general,
Yeah.
I think we're definitely more of like the fun, outgoing,
Talkative.
like more talkative, social.
I would say social is the biggest way.
Yeah. Like they're all fun and they're all social too, but I feel like us 3, that's just like a very natural,
Yeah.
our natural setting.
They're more introverted, I would feel like.
Yeah.
They're more introspective.
So when you all play like a sport, is it the 3 of you versus the 3 of them?
We don't play
We've done it. We haven't really done that.
No.
I think if we were to, though, it would definitely work out that way. And their side would be really intense. And our side would just be like,
Be
we're
having
just
fun. Yeah.
Or we would quit.
I wouldn't. We'd be like, let's go get ice
I'm
cream.
kind of a quitter, so
And how do the brothers fit in?
Well, the brothers are all spread throughout us. So we have like our older brother, who's the oldest, and then we have a middle brother who's right in the middle of all the girls.
Yeah.
And he's very girl friendly. He's very good to talk to about like emotions and stuff. And then we have the 3 little brothers at the very end who are like young teenagers.
Yeah.
they're
So-
bros.
Yeah, they're bros. They love sports. They're very into the gym. Like,
Yeah.
Oh
they're
my
always
gosh.
like trying to beat each other and like weightlifting and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
they're trying to get us to weightlift too. They're like, we're starting a Cimorelli school initiative. I need
Yeah.
you all in the gym. I'm like, look.
And then they roast us and they said we're weak and we need
Yes.
to like step up.
I went on the treadmill. He's like, where are your weights? I said, I don't know. Yeah.
Have they threatened to start their own channel?
No, they haven't, but I kind of wish they would. I
Me
think that would be
too.
cool. I
They're
think they'd
so
have a great
interesting.
channel.
So what are relationships like? Do you guys date? I mean, what's the story?
Do we date?
It's pretty normal, I think.
Yeah, well, I'm engaged, so yeah.
Well,
Danny's engaged
congratulations.
also.
Same.
And then Amy
I
is
am not engaged.
yeah, she's
I'm
meeting
single and mingling.
Yeah,
That's
she's
what
mingling.
I, that's what I would describe myself as.
I think it's pretty normal. I think growing up with 11 siblings, it was a little different, especially when we were younger, being homeschooled. But it wasn't like our parents said we couldn't date growing up. Like it was.
Well-
No, they didn't directly say that. They definitely were like, "Oh, you definitely should not." But it wasn't like a rule in our house, like you can't date anyone.
Yeah,
you know?
they didn't set a rule, but they kind of made a lot of comments like, don't date until you're 25 because that's when your brain is fully developed.
Yeah.
And so
Mom-
then most of us ended up waiting till we were
Yeah.
older.
My mother just told me I'm old enough to date this year, and
how old
I'm
are-
24. So,
When guys come into your lives and the two of you are engaged, okay? I know in the past when I've been in business with women, okay, and I've represented a number of people in the past and on the television side back in Hollywood, but then the boyfriend arrives, you know, then the fiance arrives, right? And that starts to become a whole dynamic in the professional relationship, right? Now, with you two, do your fiancés, do they weigh in on what you do or what you look like, or do they try to? I see a big smile on your face.
well, my fiance, I'm kidding. I don't have one.
I mean, for me, not at all. My fiance is in sports, and that's like totally his thing. He doesn't even have Spotify on his phone. He doesn't really listen to music. He listens to podcasts.
Right.
So he's like totally in a different lane than me, and he thinks the music thing is awesome and is very supportive of it. But he does not give me any type of input on the music stuff because that's just totally not his wheelhouse. So there's no overlap there.
Okay.
For me, my relationship, like we talk about it, but and like he will be interested in it. He's very interested, and he is into music himself, but it's very separate. Like it's not like trying to be involved in the band or anything like that. It's certainly not what we're looking like.
Yeah, I honestly, not that I'm engaged or have fiance, you didn't ask me, but I don't really like guys that are into music that much. Like I feel like it's too much for me. I'm like, okay, look, let's talk about something else, please.
What kind of guys do you like?
Honestly,
This
I
is your
like
big
ones that
this is
are-
your big
okay,
opportunity.
Look, I like ones that are really into like science. Is that weird? Like
not weird.
engineering.
It's not weird, it's just random.
I love like
man with a
neuroscience,
brain.
engineering. Yes. And like, I don't know. That's just what I've also I've been talking to a lot of guys recently that like sports, and I'm very confused.
Look, Amy,
all
that's
the time.
what you think. You're gonna end up marrying a musician.
No, I'm not.
No, she's
project.
not.
I will
She will not.
never.
I
It's
can
gonna
tell.
happen.
Never.
Tell me about how you all resolve conflict.
Okay, this might be an Italian thing. We're Italian and Irish and a bunch of other things, but those are kind of some of the main two. We're very honest with each other, and we talk about things a lot.
Sometimes a little too honest.
Sometimes, yeah,
Depends.
we're very honest, and we're also, especially Katherine, myself, and Christina, our two oldest girls. I feel like I need to say my name because people listening are like, who's talking? We're very into psychology, so we've done a lot of studying on like communication and like relationship building. So I think that's kind of the basis of where it comes from, like just this sense of like almost not brutal because it's not mean, but it's very honest.
Yeah.
From your perspective, and especially with all of the feedback you get, what are the biggest issues that young women are faced with today?
Oof.
I would say an enormous amount of social pressure in general of like what to look like, how to be, how to act. Like you have to have this many like followers, and like you have to have this, every boy has to like you, and if they're not, and if you're not super popular and TikTok famous, then you're nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because there's all these girls like Kylie Jenner or like the Instagram models or like all those famous girls who like seem to just have it all together, like their baby and their hair and their tan, and like at least for like young girls, especially like teenagers on Instagram, it's just this like impossible standard to live up to, like impossible, especially because like with all like the editing and like the money that goes into people's appearances these days, like those really famous girls, most of them at least, like then it's just even more like you couldn't even begin to imagine like looking like that as a normal person. Like it just doesn't happen in like small towns, and the effort you have to put in to be that way. I, as a 17-year-old, like struggled with that so intensely to where like I was wearing fake eyelashes every day and like fake extensions every day, and I tanned myself, and I'm very pale naturally. And I just had this vision in mind of these very specific girls on Instagram who looked a certain way. And I was like, I just want to be like that because they have all these boys that like them and they probably have so many friends and they just do all this fun stuff all the time. So if I just look like that, people will accept me more. And I think most girls go through that these days.
And because it's not super open, I don't think the average girl knows how much effort it takes to achieve that. So they're just looking at these perfect people without knowing all the effort that goes into looking like that. And they feel so bad about themselves because they're like, why do I not look like that? Well, if you took hours and hours and a lot of money, you would look like that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But they don't know that. So they're just this pressure to look perfect and be perfect. And they don't see every aspect of this person's life. They're not seeing a full human, and they're comparing themselves to a not full human, their full humanity. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. How do you all manage that? I mean, you do all these amazing videos. Do you have as far as prepping for a video, looking good, do you have a time limit each? Okay, we got 30 minutes to do this, and whatever you can get done, you get done. I mean, how do you do that?
Well,
or is one of you in the bathroom for 3 hours doing your makeup?
Oh. Well, we live in different houses, so only some of us live together. But we lived in LA for 5 years, and I think that was probably the height of this sense of pressure about looking perfect because you're exposed to all these people where that's really the focus, and especially in the pop industry. But then I think moving to Nashville, it was just a very different experience. It just felt like everything kind of mellowed out more. And I think we all, to different degrees, love personal style. Yeah. And for videos, like, you kind of have to wear makeup because you are more washed out because of like the camera and the light. So you almost don't look, you look very ghostly and sullen if you're not wearing any makeup. But I think all of us have kind of chilled out on appearance. And I hope that when the fans see us in our videos and pictures and stuff, I hope they'll see like that we look more like them.
Like a real person.
Rather than like this super, like, I hate the word fake, but like, honestly, it's fake. It looks, it doesn't look real. It's like you're looking at your normal head of hair that God gave you, and then you're seeing a picture of a girl that actually has all these extensions sewn into her hair, and you're comparing that.
And you're like, oh, I just want my hair to look like that, but like I can't.
But
for me, like being the youngest and going through what I mentioned earlier, now I guess I'm having the reaction to it, like, because I spent so many, like, I would have to get ready like 2 hours, 3 hours in advance than I normally would. Normally it takes me like 10 minutes to put makeup on. I'm not wearing any makeup right now. Normally it takes me like 10, 20 minutes to look like one of them, like wearing makeup, and it's easy for me. But I had to factor in like 2 extra hours every single day for like months. And at one point I was just like, this is not getting me anywhere. I don't have any more friends. No more boys like me. In fact, like, it's actually gotten worse, the amount of people who talk to me now, like, because of my appearance. Like, it made me act different, almost worse, and more vain, and more just like someone I wasn't. So now I'm in this reactionary phase where I'm just like, I don't want to do any of that. And so I haven't worn makeup in so long. I put it on sometimes if I have to, like Katherine said, if I'm going to be under like crazy lights or anything like that. But when I can avoid it, I do, because I just got out of this phase of trying to change myself. So I'm trying to like do the opposite of complete acceptance, which not everyone has to do. Like, that's not everyone's thing, and that's totally fine. But for me, I'm just in this like natural phase of life. So it takes me like no time to get ready personally.
Tell me about your book.
Oh, our book. Okay, so Believe in You. The subtitle of it is Big Sister Stories and Advice on Living Your Best Life. And I think that really sums it up. We just have a very unique situation because we've been on YouTube for 10 years now, and we have a big fan base of primarily young girls, like teenagers, middle school kids even, and college students also. So we just wanted to basically create something that would be like the book we wish we had when we were younger, because we get all these messages from girls all the time asking for our advice on all these topics. And for years we would all be writing messages and trying to give advice and trying to help out. And then we realized we're kind of getting a lot of the same questions over and over. What if we compiled all of our advice on these really common things that women face in a book? And that's what Believe in You is. So that was kind of how it was like born into the world.
Like, give me one of the topics that you covered.
One of them, like friendship. That's one of the topics.
So we go into like making friends, keeping friends, being a good friend, traits of bad friends to help people kind of spot that. And this is all for like young girls, obviously.
Yeah.
And breaking up with a friend, like if you have to stop being someone's friend.
Yeah.
It's like
yeah,
the
like
chapter,
navigating that.
Yeah, navigating it.
And this is available on Amazon.com, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we rarely do this, but this time we just have to because you all have this wonderful tour. Now you have a book called Believe in You, Big Sister Stories and Advice on Living Your Best Life. And you have a theme song called Believe in You. So let's take a listen.
You look in the mirror and you don't like what you see. The person looking back at you is not who you want to be. You see a failure, a screw up, someone who doesn't deserve love. You started to give up on yourself. You think there's nothing left. But I see your flaws, I see your pain, and I see past all of it. I see your strength hidden within. Oh, you can rise out of this. You can do everything they said you couldn't do. Don't give up on yourself. I believe in you. I believe in you. You stand in front of me and I know just what I see. A one-of-a-kind work of art. You're a masterpiece. I see a survivor, a fighter. You're so worthy of love. You've got too much to give. Please don't give up on yourself. I see your flaws, I see your pain, and I see past all of it. I see the strength hidden within. No, you can rise out of this. You can do everything they said you couldn't do. Don't give up on yourself. I believe in you. I believe in you. You will move mountains. You'll keep your faith. The waves might hit you, but you will not break. You have so much inside. No one can take your light. Even when darkness comes, you will win the fight. I see your flaws, I see your pain, and I see past all of it. I see your strength hidden within. You can rise out of there. You can do everything they said you couldn't do. Don't give up on yourself. I believe in you. I believe in you. I believe in you. I believe in you.
Wow, what a message. That is so great. How do you all stay grounded?
Our little brothers. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, I know for me, it's definitely my faith. I feel like that's really been the common thread throughout our entire career that's kind of guided everything that we've done, all of our decisions. It was like we would sometimes get opportunities that completely went against like our Christian faith. And it would just be like, okay, this might bring in money, but this is not going to lead our fans in a positive direction. So it was like having our faith has been completely like the anchor, the compass, like
Yeah.
the thing that's guided us the entire time. And I really feel like it's kept us like sane.
Also, living in Nashville, I feel like it's hard to not be like grounded or whatever, just because like you're in a small town, you know? Like even Nashville, the city itself is not that big. Like it's not some like Los Angeles, New York, like hip city with all these rich influencers or whatever you want to say. Like it's not. So when you're living here, it's hard to feel like, oh, like you're above anyone, which I feel like it's honestly easier to get into that mindset when you live in LA. Yeah. Like it's just a natural tendency in like a bigger city, I think, to like have the competition and all that. Yeah. But here with more families and like the slower living and everything, it's much easier to just realize you're just a normal person, you know?
Yeah, and like I think one of the most important things is like your community around you of like who you're hanging out with. Because most of my friends, honestly, all of them except for one, they're not in the music industry. They don't really, that's not their thing. Like they're very much in a different headspace. So it helps me to stay in a different headspace, and we value the same things and we go to the same church. You know what I mean? So it's like the community that you surround yourself with is very important in terms of staying grounded.
There's somebody listening to this right now who is maybe they have something special, but they just think, oh, wow, it's just me. What words of encouragement would you offer somebody who has a dream, but, you know, they have to work a 9-to-5 job, or maybe they have to work 2 jobs?
Wow, that's difficult, because I know that it's really hard when you're putting all of your energy into something to try to do something else. That is really difficult. I would say just start where you are, wherever that is. Like, if it's 5 minutes a day that you could spend on this thing that you love, maybe you get a day off and you can spend a few hours like creating music. Just do what you can. And I would say prioritize, if that's something that really feeds you. I think they call it like the blue flame. If that's that thing that you really love, that really brings you to life and makes you feel very alive, prioritize that, make time for it, whatever little time that you have. And maybe you're in a difficult season where you have to work these crazy hours and you're exhausted. But hopefully that season is not forever, and you can just do what you can in the time that you have. What would you guys say?
I would say that sometimes the best thing that anyone can do in their entire life is take a risk that they thought they could absolutely never do. So for most people, I would say, I'm not really sure what the percentage is, but you don't have the luxury of just like not working and like doing your passion. You know, like I'm a musician, but I just play music on my couch all day. Like that's not really what most people do, because people have to survive.
Yeah.
But sometimes in people's lives, there comes an opportunity where they can maybe switch career paths, or like Katherine said, they have that extra bit of time and it develops into something. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that if there's that opportunity that anyone listening has to do something that they've always wanted to do, but think that either A, they're not good enough, or B, it won't work, or someone's telling them they can't do it, the possibilities of things that humans can do in their lives and the failures that people have that they succeed through, and the gifts that God has given us, and the strength that faith can give you is just unimaginable. Like, some people genuinely believe, a lot of people, I think, and I get in this place so many times in my life, like you can't go anywhere else. Like you are where you are and that's your spot and you're just going to do this the rest of your life. But it's not true. Like our lives are very long, hopefully, and ideally, and the paths you can take and the thing that God has for you in mind, you could never possibly understand that, you know? Like if you have something inside of you that's telling you that you have the opportunity to do something else, or that you want to do something else, sometimes you just have to take a risk and go for it just because you have faith. Like that's it. And you think that maybe God has something in mind for you down the road that you can't even imagine right now, but you just have to go for it. And maybe it means making your life terrible right now. Like maybe it means it's going to be way harder for you because you have to spend all this extra time on something else and fill up your schedule, and you have to sacrifice a bunch of other things. But I do know that no matter how your circumstances right now, if you have an inkling inside of you that there's something else, or there's something that you're meant to do, even if it's not in a career, even if it's a hobby or a volunteer opportunity or something that's not even full time, there's always something that we're made for. There's something that every single person is made for. So if someone hasn't found it yet, it's still there. It's not gone. Just because you're older, it doesn't mean your dream is dead. Like
no,
your hope and your what's the word? Innocence doesn't have to die just because you turned 30 or whatever. Like, you can be like a child and you can be like, the possibilities are endless, because they are. They really are, like, in any aspect of life when you have faith.
Yeah, like my favorite author didn't write his first book till he was 50. Like, life moves in mysterious ways, and you really can do anything that you set out to do. It might just take longer than you think, or a different path than you think. And also, like, the world needs what you have to offer. Like, it does, in any sense of the word. If it's your connection and your love, it needs that. If it's this dream you have, it needs
Your talent, your
that.
personality.
Yes, the world needs what you have to offer.
Who's your favorite author?
Lloyd C. Douglas, he wrote The Robe and The Magnificent Obsession and Forgive Us Our Trespasses. They're such great books. They're from like the 50s though. So like they're kind of hard to read because the language back then was just more, what is the word that I'm looking for, Katherine?
Eloquent?
It's
like old, it's not old.
It's a
not
little
old
more
English.
complicated to read.
A little more
but
complex.
it's so good. His stories are amazing, and I just love it so much.
And how did you discover him?
My mom, she loves the book The Robe. She assigned it to us for school. We
Yeah.
had a movie of it. It's about the soldier who he is like the one who won Christ's robe in like the gambling thing in the
when they
Bible.
cast
Like
lots.
he wrote a story about that. Like, not that it's historically accurate, but he wrote it from that perspective, and it's just such a beautiful and inspiring book. And his book, The Magnificent Obsession, is such a cool like mystery, and Forgives Our Trespasses is such a beautiful story of forgiveness. He's just such an amazing author. But I don't think really anyone knows about him because he was huge. He was one of the biggest authors in his time.
So where do you go from here?
We really are focused on our book right now. This has been like a huge goal of ours for a long time. So having like a book out there and like all the stores and stuff is just a dream come true.
Such a dream come
We're really
true.
trying to spread the word on that, especially just because we really want this book to get into the hands of young women, because we wrote this, I mean, with Christian values in mind. We just think like this book could really make an impact on young women of this generation. That's really our focus right now. We do have our new single out, Believe in You. We're also on our tour, our Believe in You. Everything is Believe in You. So our Believe in You tour, we're doing that right now. So we're really just focusing on like this beautiful, rich season right now, and then kind of preparing for the next year for 2020.
Yeah, we're definitely preparing. We're thinking of some wild ideas.
Yeah. So we're always trying to make every year better. And then we're always like reinventing ourselves every year, every couple years. Like, okay, what's like a new angle or aspect of Cimorelli that we can like develop?
Like, what's a new way to spread our message, a new way to reach people?
Yeah.
I think we've been talking a lot lately about our message and how we want to get that out, and different like charitable things we're thinking about doing and that kind of thing, because that is this is a bad analogy, but that is like the gas in our car. Like, it's what's driving us, because if we didn't have that, we would have quit long ago, I think.
Yeah, we would have.
Is it difficult in this day and age to do what you do, be in the entertainment business, and really go out there and say that you're Christians?
I wouldn't really say so. It was harder when we were in LA because we were signed with a major label. We were very immersed in the pop industry. But when we moved to Nashville, I think because we were very like kind of scarred from LA, we really intentionally distanced ourselves from the pop industry or like the industry here in general. So it kind of feels like we almost live in our own little bubble.
We
of
definitely
Cimorelli. But I feel like we're very open about our Christianity. We're very public about it. It's in all our videos. Like, people know it, and we're not ashamed of it. So I don't know. Sometimes people make fun of us on the internet.
Oh yeah, they definitely
Like, they
do.
say that we're Amish or whatever because we're not gonna because we changed. If there's like a bad lyric in a song, people get really upset about that we changed it.
Yeah, and they've been getting upset about that since we had like 10-year-old members.
Yeah.
Like, what?
But
do
even
you
if
want
we didn't,
10-year-olds to
like,
be singing
our
that?
10-year-old member at the time is now 19.
Yeah.
And we still change it.
Yeah.
Like, it's who we are, and it doesn't really matter what people say because we don't really care.
I think it's hard if you're not used to mean comments. Like, if you're not used to people saying stuff about you or people being really, really rude about you, it's very hard as an artist. But if
We're used to it.
like me, I started when I was 9 years old. So honestly, it's like, it's not necessarily a good thing, but like that's what I grew up with. So I'm so used to it at this point where it just kind of bounces off me. I don't even really read most things anymore, honestly.
Yeah.
So that's a big reason why it's easy to have faith in such a a world that doesn't like it sometimes.
But there are big corners of the internet that have a lot of faith.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And there are people out there that are looking for people with faith to just like connect with, because it's harder to find. But also there has never been, I think, a better time to do it, because you don't have to go through the traditional routes.
Yeah.
So you can kind of make your career your own now and be very independent and do what you want to do, and you're not really answering to higher ups in different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
What do y'all think about Kanye West?
Honestly,
I don't really want to speak on it because I just feel like I don't think it's my place to judge someone's conversion or if that's genuine or not. Like, I know a lot of people are saying like, oh, this is fake or this is just a ploy, but I just don't really like. I think that's between him and God, and I applaud him that he's putting out this album that's Christian. I think anyone putting out a Christian album, that's great.
Yeah.
And I just, who knows, maybe it's not sincere. I don't know, but I feel like it's not my place to say that or to judge that or really speak on it.
I listen to the songs and I can appreciate the message for sure. Like I can listen to it and be like, yeah, this is cool.
We're going to do a little focus group here for a minute, okay?
Okay.
What do you think it is going to take for Christianity or Christian entertainment? Let's talk about entertainment to be relevant with your generation.
Oh, this might be kind of a.
And by the way, I want you to go for it, because believe me, I have a 20-year-old and a 22-year-old daughter. Okay, so I've heard it all. So I want your take.
Yeah, I mean, I would say this might be kind of a controversial answer, but I feel like in a lot of the things I've seen in like the Christian industry with like music and media and stuff, it's like it appears from the outside that a lot of it is trying to scrub and clean up real life and then present it as this thing like, oh, my only struggle is that I forgot to pray, or like, oh, in our family, like, I don't know, just you see these movies and you hear these songs. I'm not saying all of them, because there's some wonderful, like incredible music and movies out there, but I would say for it to become more mainstream, it has to walk the line of never glorifying evil. You never glorify evil, because that's not Christian, but you can't ignore the fact that evil exists and speak about it. And because that's the thing, every person, Christian or not, is going through really hard things, and trying to scrub that and clean it up and present it as an edited version, that's not going to reach people, because that's not where they are. So I think just being more real and being more open about things that are hard to talk about, addictions, sins that are really dark, not just forgetting to pray or whatever, like things that are very dark and very real, and meeting people where they are. And again, not glorifying evil, still preaching the gospel just as strongly, but being real so that people can connect with that. That's my opinion. That's how I've seen it come across. Do you guys have anything to add?
I think it's easier nowadays for some reason with like Generation Z, I guess you want to call us, compared to the millennials. Because
we got 2 millennials here and 1 Generation Z.
I don't identify as either, so.
All right, whatever.
Wow.
I didn't know you could choose your
she's kind of on the
generation.
cusp.
I can.
Anyway.
I choose neither.
Anyway, I think that the people older than me, like in their 20s and 30s right now, tend to have a little bit more of a negative outlook on life as a generation. And I think because of that, there's the reactionary Generation Zs who are like, whoa, the world is so crazy and there's so much out there, like with TikTok and all this technology. I feel like being born, I'm not on like in the real Generation Z. Honestly, I'm at the end of it because I'm almost 20. But like the ones who were like born into technology have this view of the world. Like I have the world at my fingertips. Like literally, I can do anything, you know? And it's a little different than the millennials. And I think because of that, I'm noticing with people my age, it's actually more common for them to have more faith and for them to be a little bit more like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed about the world, which is surprising because a lot of people think it's the opposite.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't really see it like that.
I think it's the opposite because there's definitely 2 sides of it. There's definitely the ones that are very dark and very just like, edgy or whatever. But I think there's a big percentage of people my age who are just looking for something that's like good. Because
honestly,
wholesome and good and bright and positive, like because we've seen it all. Like, we've seen it all.
Yeah.
Growing up on the internet, you see it all, and it's terrible. Like, personally, I think it's a terrible thing. And I'm happy that I didn't get that from my parents, because they didn't really give me a phone until I was like 13, which is very old nowadays, which is crazy.
What?
Yeah, that's very old nowadays. Most people have phone when they're like 7 years old. And
oh my gosh.
because of that, they see everything. They see the darkness, they see the weirdness, they see the goths, they see the fun people, they see the emo people. Everyone's on TikTok, you know? So I think it's easier to reach people at this age because, like I said, it's so reactionary to this older generation of people who are so... I don't even know what millennials are. I don't even want to get into them. I hate them.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Millennials are awesome.
I don't like them.
Millennials get so much crap, but they're awesome.
All right,
I don't
whatever,
identify.
says the millennial. But I think it's better nowadays because we have more of a hope for the world. Some of us. Some of us not so much, but you know.
I really agree with Katherine and Dani, but I'm just saying the point that Kath made that I really agree with is it's all about showing real life. And I think that that's never been really a thing until nowadays, because in the olden days, just kidding, in like not the past 10 years, you have never been able to get a full look at humans' lives.
Because you could hide things so easily.
Yeah, not saying that you can now, because like Instagram and stuff, it's always very filtered.
hidden. Yeah.
But people are more primed to hear real things from
Yeah.
artists now. And I think that's how you reach people, is just showing the realness and the depth of life. Like, people want to feel and they want to connect. So
They do.
if you
They're
make
craving
things
connection.
that feel and connect and like hit nerves and just like, ooh, yes, that's how you reach people.
Yeah, it's almost like the world is so dehumanized for so many reasons that people are really craving for things to be humanized
That's what I'm
again.
trying
And
to
I
say
think
about
that's
that.
why You Say was so big.
Oh yeah, You Say by
Because
Lauren Daigle. I love that
It's
song.
so humanizing and it really connects because you feel that deeply, but no one talks about it.
Yeah.
And I think people really need an outlet for that kind of stuff also.
And where do you all get your music? Where do you listen?
Wait, do you mean like what platform?
Yeah, platforms.
Yeah, Apple
Yeah.
Music.
Apple Music.
Apple. It's
And
all Apple.
I get new music from, I look at Spotify, like I have the app on my phone. I look at the New Music Friday. Occasionally I'll look at specific genre playlists, but I mainly look at New Music Friday on Spotify and then the like hot tracks on Apple Music. That's
Yeah.
where I get everything.
I honestly liked Apple Music more than Spotify when I first got it because they didn't even have clean versions of a lot of songs on Spotify.
yeah.
And then they had way more clean stuff. So that was why I originally I think they've changed that now, but that was why I chose
And then
Apple
honestly,
Music.
for like Christian worship music, I just hear new stuff in church, and that's what I listen to. I'm like, oh, I like that song. I'll listen to that. That's
Yeah.
kind of the only place I get like new. I probably should look on the internet for that more. 'cause
Oh, I
feel
listen
like,
to Christian playlists all the time. Of
Yeah,
like
I
what's
feel like they'd
new,
be
what's
good.
coming out.
I just realized this the other day. I've never looked for new music in my life. I've never done it.
It just comes to
because
you.
there's so many people that are always looking for it in my family. So I just kind of like hear what they listen to and then put together my own thing of it. And that's how I find
That's
new
funny.
music is through my family members, and it comes from a lot of different directions.
Oh, that's great. Well, I want to thank you so much. This has been fun.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah.
I got that joy. 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 I got that joy to the world.
Okay, so Victoria, now that we have talked to all 6 girls over the last couple of episodes,
I cannot pick a favorite. I like them all.
now we have to talk to Mom.
We do. And here she is, Lynn Cimorelli.
All righty, Lynn. So, wow. One thing I learned is that, what'd you do, graduate from school when you were 8 or something? I know I'm off by a couple of years, but
I was 2 years younger than the rest of my class. Yeah, I skipped kindergarten, started first grade when I was 5 because I already knew how to read. And then when I was in second grade, they moved me up to third grade. So then that left me 2 years younger than everybody else.
then I understand you homeschool all the kids, right?
Yes.
And a couple of them started college when they were
14.
14.
Mm-hmm. Lisa started at 14. Well, it was kind of funny how that happened. Christina was 16, and she was ready to go to school, to college. I say to school because that's the first time she ever went to school. She was homeschooled. So like for most people, when they're 5-year-old goes to kindergarten, they get sad about a child going. For me, that happened when she was 16. I was like, my child is going to school. Oh my gosh. This must be what people go through when their kid goes to kindergarten, because this was a new thing for me. But so Christina went, and she was doing really well. And then the next semester, she wanted to take some music business classes, and they were all at night. And she was young, and I didn't want her walking out the parking lot by herself. And so I thought, well, in California, you can put kids in at any age, because the way the homeschooling laws are, they're different than they are in Tennessee. And so I thought, well, I'll put Katherine and Lisa in there too, because, then they can walk out to the parking lot together. It was really about that more than anything else. It was like a safety issue. And so I put them all in the same music business classes at night. And then I thought, well, while they're there, I'll try them out on a couple of these other things, some math and English. And they ended up doing really well, and actually better than they were doing for me at that time, because Lisa was in her sort of rebellious phase where she didn't really want to listen to anything I was telling her anymore. So I was like, great, you just go be accountable to somebody else. And then she ended up killing it. I was like, wow, this is great.
So why homeschooling?
I was a really good student, but I hated school. And my husband was constantly skipping school. So I just felt they're probably genetically doomed to not do well. And I remember I was pregnant with my oldest, Michael, and I was lying on the couch, and I was watching this show that was on at the time, Phil Donahue. And I'm really dating myself there. And he had a guest on that was a homeschooling family from Ukiah, and they had 4 kids, 2 that were biologically theirs, I think, and 2 that were adopted. And they homeschooled all of them. And the oldest 3 had all ended up in Harvard on full ride scholarships. And these people were unschoolers. So they were really just freewheeling it. Both of the parents were very educated. They had master's degrees, and they actually were involved, I think, in writing SAT tests or something like that. And so they had these kids out in Ukiah on like homesteading and figuring out how to build the house and do the plumbing and do the electrical and all these different things. And I just thought that was fascinating. They had like boxes full of books in their attic, and the kids would just read all these classic books. They didn't have a TV purposely. And I just thought, wow, that's really cool, because these kids were interviewed too, and they turned out just awesome. One was becoming a doctor, the other was a lawyer, and I just thought, man, this is a way you could really excel at your own pace, doing what you want to do, and that just really appealed to me. So I was like, I'm doing this.
So when did you realize that the girls had this unique talent?
Well, I have a master's degree in music, so I would sing to them and dance with them and all these kinds of things. And then I thought, I wonder how young a kid could harmonize. And so I thought, well, I'll try teaching them rounds, like row or row your boat or something like that. And so I did that with Michael and Christina, and I worked with them, and they got it. And then I worked Katherine into that, and then she got it too. So we had this beautiful little 3-part harmony going with these little tiny kids, and I thought, wow, this is really neat. And then, as Lisa got older, she jumped into that too. And then I started a church choir, largely for them, so that they could learn harmony and, sort of perform, for the congregation. And they got very good at it. And then my mom started booking them, for nursing homes and old people tea parties and things like that, which they didn't appreciate very much. But it was practice, in front of a very appreciative audience.
And when the whole YouTube thing hit, I mean, was it just perfect timing or what? I mean, it had all this training. You had worked with them. They were, I guess, ready to go. And then the YouTube thing shows up. How did that all come about?
Christina had wanted to start a band, and so she started one with her friends when I think she was 15. But it was just kind of a bad thing. And I said, why don't you try your sisters? You've been singing with them for years. She was like, nah, I don't want to do that. And I said, well, you should think about it. And so after the friend thing didn't work out, she decided, maybe I should try with my sisters. So she asked her sisters, and they didn't want to do it with her. And then she had to talk them into it. And then older brother Michael, she talked him into playing guitar for them. And so they started a band, and they were basically a regular cover band. This was in 2007, so it was 2 years before YouTube. And so we booked a bunch of gigs, just, playing like for the Boy Scouts or for the church family, whatever. And sometimes they do 2-hour gigs full of covers and that kind of thing. And then YouTube became a thing, and they were, of course, enamored with watching all these videos on YouTube. And they're like, wow, we could do that kind of thing. So we posted some stuff, and nobody watched except me. You could see the counter go up every time I would click refresh. You know, 200 video views, 201, 202. It's all me. And so 2009 came along. Miley Cyrus had this song coming out. It was leaked to somewhere and they found it. And so they learned it on the spot. They actually was one of the only videos that they filmed in pieces because they didn't even know the song yet. So they just learned like a little bit and filmed it. And there was this teen gossip site called Ocean Up and that posted things like that occasionally. And so they sent it in as a fan video knowing that she was going to sing the song that night on the Teen Choice Awards and debut the song. So the next day they knew everybody would be searching the song because Miley Cyrus was the big thing at that time, right? With Hannah Montana and all that. And so they put the song up. Ocean Up posted it, which was shocking, and it went viral immediately. It was a shock because we didn't think they would post it. We didn't think anybody would actually see it. It was just like, well, let's just try it, right? And so it had like 20,000 views in 24 hours. That back then was massive. You know, you just didn't see that. It was lucky if anything ever hit 1 million. You know, now you could get 1 million in a day or two, and that's huge. But back then, like if you ever hit 1 million, that was huge. Within just a few days, I got a call from London from a woman she's one of the biggest managers, probably is the biggest manager in Europe, I would guess. And she was like, oh, you know, we saw this video and your daughters are amazing. And, you know, we would love to represent you and find you a record deal. And I was like, what? Who are you? You're calling me from England? What? And she got them signed with Island Records UK, which is, of course, a label in London that she worked closely with. And that's the iconic label of, you know, Amy Winehouse and Bob Marley and U2. So we moved to LA shortly after that. And then we lived in Malibu for 5 years and did all that kind of thing. But YouTube continued to blow up. They continued to post covers, to your question about YouTube. And we built our own following, and the whole theme of it was to always be clean, family-friendly, you know, clean covers, because kid-friendly, you know, so that anybody could listen to it, you know, so parents wouldn't have to feel like, oh, I got to watch this and turn the channel or whatever. It was all going to be safe. And because we built that fan base and built that brand of clean, family-friendly from the start, the label really couldn't push us around and make us do, you know, because they would bring us inappropriate things. They would send stylists over with clothing that was completely inappropriate because these were kids. It was like Dani just got in the group. She was 9, just turning 10 when she signed with them, and it was right after they signed. Dani wasn't in it initially. She got in a couple months later. So it was 9 to 19 years old. So these are all young girls, and you have these stylists coming over with like stiletto heels and micro mini dresses, and we're like, they're not wearing that. Go bring something else, because that ain't happening, you know. And this happened again and again and again. I was like, are you going to get a clue? And, you know, the label would send songs and say, oh, you should record this. And it would be something about, you know, being in a club, cheating on your girlfriend or something. I'm like, Dani's 10 years old. She can't sing about being in a club. She doesn't even go to a club. I mean, come on. She's not even legal. None of the other girls are either, but we're talking about a 10-year-old here. And so the fact that we had already established this clean, family-friendly brand, it was very easy to throw that back at them and say, this is not authentic to who we are. We've already established this. We already have a fan base with millions of views, and we're building this huge subscriber base. It's international, and we can't do that other stuff. We don't want to do it, and we're not going to, because our fans wouldn't even buy it. That's not who we are.
That relationship ended, right?
That ended after 5 years. We were with the label for 5 years.
Yeah. And you have no regrets?
No. I mean, they did a lot of great things for the girls in terms of they paired them with all these really great producers. So the girls learned the craft of writing and recording from working with these people. I can't say they enjoyed it most of the time. Some of the sessions they enjoyed. A lot of them they didn't. A lot of times they felt like they were being pushed around or put in a box and not able to say the things they wanted to say, or, you know, being made to put trite expressions in a song. And they didn't talk that way. They're like, we don't talk that way. We would never say that, you know, in the lyrics. So when they got out, they immediately released 2 albums worth of stuff, you know, one like a month later and then one a few months after that. They just had so much.
On their own?
Yes, on their own. Because we knew how to do it. You know, we had been doing it through the label, so we knew the ropes of how to record, and, you know, you had to get it mixed and mastered, and, you know, how to put it up and get it out, distributed and all that sort of thing. And so that was really useful from the label. But and we had our fan base to market to, so we knew they would like it. And a lot of what the girls write is aimed at their fan base from the messages they get online, and so they write a lot of very, very encouraging messages, very encouraging songs because of the messages that they hear from their fans.
And what would you say has been the thing that has kept them grounded?
Honestly, it was the very first gig they had. This was by the grace of God. It was a chastity conference for teens, and they really enjoyed the speaker. And they told me afterwards, they were like, "I get it now. I really get it." And they said, "Can we go out and buy purity rings?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." I had always, of course, taught them that message, but I didn't try to like beat it into their heads, because a lot of times kids rebel, if you push too hard about things. So, nobody's perfect, but you try to do the right things and you support each other. That was always a big thing for me, was family is first. Family is everything. Friends come and go, they move, they backstab you, whatever, sometimes you have good friends, sometimes you don't, but your family needs to be here forever. We are not going to be one of those families that gets in a 25-year feud and doesn't talk to each other, because we certainly know a lot of people like that, and that's sad. I don't want that.
They shared with me their experience of therapy and told me how important that was, right? What was it like for you?
Well, I think initially as a parent, you kind of feel like you failed. Like, man, I blew it. But on the other hand, I had been warned about this by that manager from London. She told me that one of her big artists was going into therapy, and she said, "I'm going to give you the name of some therapists, because I don't know anybody in this industry who doesn't end up in therapy." And I went, "Oh, wow." So I kind of knew it was coming, I guess. So I was prepared. Since then, I have come to view therapy more as kind of like having a physical trainer for your, like you go to the gym and you have a physical trainer. This would be like a mental trainer. They help you get strong mentally. They help you straighten out things that maybe you weren't processing right or you weren't understanding correctly. And it's, a neutral third party. And you can't always get there just talking with family members or even with friends, because friends may not totally understand. And it's difficult for anybody to process that, especially a kid.
Now, you have your own thing too, right? Your own website.
I do.
What is your website?
It's momcimorelli.com. And it's about family and extraordinary, the idea of anybody can lead an extraordinary life. Extraordinary doesn't have to mean celebrity. It's really, I interview people on it about things that I think are extraordinary. Like I interviewed some Franciscan friars, for instance, because to me, they lead an extraordinary life. They live in Newark, New Jersey, like the armpit of poverty. They purposely pick the worst places to live, so they are in the middle of the people who need it the most. And then they go and they work at these soup kitchens in New York every day in the Bronx. And they're just the most wonderful, holy people. When you're around them, you just feel like you're in the throne room. It's just amazing.
Tell me what you see happening over the next few years. You're like managing or co-managing the girls now, right?
I manage
you manage the girls, right? Huh? What's your vision?
Well, I look to whatever their vision is, and then I just try to help them fulfill that. Christina got married last year. I know she'd like to start a family. Katherine's getting married next spring. There's other boyfriends on the picture now, and who knows where that's going to lead for the various girls. So I think that, they don't just do music. If you watch their channel, a lot of their videos are vlogs, their lifestyle pieces, and I suspect that they will probably bring in lifestyle things. I think they'll continue to do music. I think that they will continue to do things like they may even have some TV or movies on the horizon. They were in a movie a couple of years ago called Hope Springs Eternal, and they really enjoyed that, because they come from an acting background. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do some things like that. But I think probably a lot of it's going to be continue with music, and then lifestyle towards marriage and family and kids. And, I think they'll probably just continue on with that.
Well, you've done an amazing job. They're just all so amazing. And I had wonderful time today.
Thank you.
With you and with them. And I want to thank you for stopping by the homestead here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
I had no idea who these girls, I had no idea who they were.
I didn't either. But
you know-
you and I wouldn't be watching YouTube,
No.
videos like this.
You know what? I actually do watch YouTube. I love
But not with
my
a-
cat videos and
With a bunch of girls, would you? Well, okay, never. Don't even answer that.
no, come on, give me a break. Listen, I had no idea that these girls existed, and then when I brought it up with my daughters, they're like, "What do you mean you don't know who they are?"
Exactly. Same with mine.
So here's the deal. All you have to do is go to Cimorelli.com. That's Cimorelli music.com. And you can see all their great stuff, or of course, check out their channel on YouTube and subscribe.
And probably many of you are already subscribers.
And don't forget, they've got a new book out. It's called Believe in You, and a new single out called Believe in You. And they're on the Believe in You tour.
Oh, how appropriate.
You got to believe. You got to believe.
That's easy to find. Believe in You.
I'm David Sands.
And I'm Victoria Robinson.
And you've been listening to Contagious Influences of America, the podcast from the producers of Keep the Faith.
You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, or go to KeepTheFaith.com.
Now, if you enjoy the podcast, please go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review Contagious Influencers of America.
Hey, be sure to join us next week. And of course, thanks for listening.
And remember, go out there and live that life in living color, because it sure is a heck of a lot more interesting than living it in black and white.
Merry Christmas.